Hey y'all, whether it's morning, evening, or afternoon, I'm just glad that you guys had decided to vibe with E. Yes, the one and only E. Hey y'all, I hope you have an amazing day. I hope y'all are feeling amazing and doing amazing things in your life. And if not, trust me, things will get better. Bad times don't last forever. It's just one of those moments you have right now because the good days are coming towards you. Okay, so stay blessed and stay prayed up. For the ones that are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. And for the ones that are not new to this but true to this, hey y'all, what's up, what's poppin'? And I hope y'all all are having an amazing day today. Today's vibe of the day, I think, is pretty obvious because I hope you guys know by now. And if you don't know by now, I'm just let y'all know. But before we get into it, I want you guys to sit back, relax, and enjoy hearing my voice, whether you're on the go or, just chilling. Turn up your AirPods, Beats, speakers, whatever, the TVs, whatever, PCs, phones, whatever you're doing. Just get real comfortable and enjoy hearing my voice. So today's vibe of the day is Juneteenth. Yes, 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 yes. In honor of Wednesday being dropped on a federal holiday, it makes things very much easy because this just became a federal holiday. Like I want to say 4 years ago. Yes, 4 years ago. Yes, 4 years ago. Juneteenth has become a national holiday, which is kind of crazy because I feel as though when everybody found out what Juneteenth was, it should have been a national holiday from the jump. But when we get deep into today's vibe of the day, you're gonna understand why it took them so long to make this day for us a national holiday. It's crazy, but this is the life we live. So y'all know I'm here to give y'all nothing but the real, because it's a vibe that needs to be said, and a lot of people are not talking about it. So let's get into it. What is Juneteenth? First of all, Juneteenth is celebrated on June 19th. That marks the day in 1865 when the Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced the ending of slavery. That marks the enforcement of the Fifth Amendment to come to life. So this day symbolizes the official ending of slavery in the United States, and it is a time for reflection, celebration of freedom, and recognition of African American culture and history. Juneteenth has grown significantly and is now a federal holiday, served as a reminder of the ongoing struggles for racism, equality, and justice. Juneteenth is a day to remember, to recognize, and to honor the African Americans' experiences in our country. Like I said, it's so crazy that now that people are putting this in the atmosphere that, oh, what is Juneteenth and why is it so important? I feel as though Juneteenth should also be a part of Black history as well, because a lot of our children, as well as us adults, didn't know what Juneteenth was, and it was kind of insane. Sorry, y'all, that's my alarm going off. It's kind of insane how we did not know. A lot of people did not know what Juneteenth was until either during the pandemic they had to teach themselves, or they probably knew because if they had a teacher or professor that was willing to dig deeper into our history. It's so crazy that for me, I heard of Juneteenth, but I really didn't do my research on it until they made it a federal holiday, which is crazy, but it's true because it's like I said, it's crazy how when you get older, you realize at times you have to teach yourself, as well as within the school. They're trying, like in most states, they're trying to take away having the children learn about their education, where they came from, educating them on their background, such as African American children. They want to just take it out, and it's just so, it grinds me. It grinds my skin because it's like, why would you want to take away something that children need to know about? Why would you want to take away the importance of history? Why do you want to take away things that they need to know about from their ancestors and so on and so on? Just by educating children, you never know how big of an impact will that put onto them in their future as well. Because like when we were younger, we knew about Dr. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and things like that. And up until we got older, they be always saying, "Oh, don't use them as a project figure and stuff like that because it's so broad." As well as them people, the people, Black, Dr. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and everybody, they're Black excellence. They served as Black excellence. I feel as though the same way we know about them, we should have known about Juneteenth. Plain and simple. Even though it was before their time, it still should have been known, because that's very impacted onto, like I mentioned, their ancestors and so on and so on. Because it's very important, especially to us growing up. And when I get deeper into why they finally made Juneteenth a freaking holiday, and let alone a federal holiday at that, meaning that, oh, people get paid on Juneteenth, it's still insane to me, because I believe, yes, that's the only holiday that's honored to us that people are getting paid for, versus all the other holidays, 4th of July and stuff. That's either here or there. And give y'all heads up, I will not be talking about 4th of July, because y'all should know that by now. This right here, Juneteenth, is very important, because a lot of people don't know what it is and why is it so important to African Americans today, especially in our community. Why is it important? And I'm here to give it to you, like always. And if you're new here, welcome. Welcome. I keep it real here. It's raw and uncut. I'm doing my research and giving my opinion, because things like this needs to be said. As well as, if you do or do not attend a HBCU, I feel as though you need to dig deeper on the things that you feel as though is very important to you. I don't want to say challenge the professors. At times we do have to challenge our professors and challenge our classmates, because it's like things that we need to know. This is important. So, stuff like this, like I mentioned, if we know so much about the people that's involved with Black excellence and civil rights leaders and things like that, why we don't know about Juneteenth? It shouldn't be up until the pandemic 4 years ago that led 3 years ago that led us to know what the hell is Juneteenth. Let that soak in, y'all. Let it dive and soak in your head, because till this day, until this moment, and when I was doing my research and getting prepared for today's vibe, it made me upset, because like they use that situation to be like, okay, I'm gonna give it to y'all. I don't want to spoil it for y'all, but it's coming. It's coming. So, who plays a significant role in the ongoing Juneteenth celebration and ensuring the historical honor? So, community leaders, local organizations, and historical societies play a crucial role in the organization for celebrating Juneteenth and encouraging the historical significance in its honor. These groups often include African American cultural organizations, local government bodies, and educational institutions. Also, well-known figures and activists within the community help raise awareness and advocates for the importance of Juneteenth, ensuring it's celebrated with respect and recognition of the historical content. Their collective effectively helps prevent and promote the cultural assistance with Juneteenth. For instance, the African American Museum and Culture Center in Austin, Texas hosts an annual Juneteenth event that includes speakers, vendors, and historical tours of the surrounding areas. Now, when it comes to playing your part and giving, honor and praises to Juneteenth, let me tell you something. Recently, not too long ago, I think it was Saturday, the day that it made a year for the podcast, one of the famous R&B artist Lloyd had put on Instagram that while he was out celebrating, I forgot where he was at, celebrating Juneteenth, people get to acting like a fool. Like we trying to give praise to our African American people, to our urban community. Every time we try to give ourselves, the time to put the violence, like stay away from violence, put the guns down stuff, it's always people that brings it to peaceful events. And when I was watching the video that he was watching and listening, seeing his facial expression when he was telling the story on what was going on, he said that, while he was out there performing, him and his band and stuff like that, or when they were going away, either way, he said it was a shooting. Red flag right there. It's always, I feel like, why every time it's an event involving with Black people, it's always something negative going on. Like, for instance, if you don't know, if you're new here, I'm from Baltimore. At times it's like you get used to it, but it's irritating at the same time, because it's like you want to have a good time. You don't want to deal with these type of situations, especially when it's about honoring the people that have dealt with so much, like our ancestors and things like that. They dealt with so much in order for this day, this moment to even come true. So I'm like, people don't even think clearly. People don't even have the decency, or let alone the damn respect to honor our people. And at times, it don't even be our people. It be people that are not a part of our community. Now, he didn't say if it was our community or not, but when it's impacted with our community, you know, people outside of our community don't respect us for no damn reason. And it's so crazy because it's like they expect us to do the most for them and do as they say and stuff, but when the tables turn, it's like, oh, I'm gonna show you something, I'm gonna set it off, and I want to get your reaction. No, that's not what that's supposed to be. As well as what I just told y'all, it's people out here, like also like in DC, you know, with the president, the vice president, they always having events for, since they made Juneteenth the federal holiday and made it so broad, they have been doing things at like the White House, you know, celebrating Juneteenth, having, you know, the moment of what I'm doing right now, to give me all the background story, give me all some insight, as well as some knowledge on what's going on and why Juneteenth, what it is, you know, the who, when, why, and all that. But people really fail to realize too is that this is history in the making. You should be thanking God that you don't have to deal with this. You wasn't a slave. You wasn't during segregation. Even though we were not living in a time of segregation, at times we do still feel like we are, because of certain places that you go to and certain situations that happen. Like, it's so sad that sometimes when you go outside as an African American man or woman, you go outside, you mind your business, it's always somebody outside of our community trying to get us to be that angry person. Y'all know the stereotype, angry black man, angry black woman. And you try so hard not to do it because, like, okay, it's like, I got you. And you can't stop. And you have to think, like, man, is it worth it? Because back then, I always think, too, like, I'm real big on Black history. Real big. When I was in elementary school, that's all I wanted to hear was, I loved Black History Month. When February came around, I loved it because, like, I want to hear more about my history. I don't want to hear about pirates and all the other people. I don't want to hear it. It don't excite me. As well as, like I mentioned too, if you do go to a HBCU and you want to learn something that impacts with your history, fight for it and do so. And if you don't go to a HBCU and you are a part of the urban community, it's okay. You know, I know y'all have y'all reasons why y'all don't go to HBCUs, but I feel like in general, period, as an African American, if you're in college or not, you need to learn these things because you need to know, because you know that saying, if you want to get a black person to know something, put it in a book. And they always say that black people don't know how to read, or don't want to read. And that's the messed up thing, because it's like, we want to, y'all just make it at times hard for us to do so. And that's why now as a community, I love how we are coming together and making ways on how to teach each other, be there for each other, and also help the next generation that's to come, because they need to know. And like, also, like I said, I wasn't going to talk about it, but I am going to talk about it. Like Jesus, what is it called? It's the 2020, it's 2025, that chain going on. So you gotta really think about this. Like, you really gotta think about this. It's real. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. This is not a joke. This is not a game. This is not this is not nothing to play about. Project 25. It came to my head, y'all. Project 25. That's a big prime example also that us black people have to really take real close attention to, read it and get all the context clues and everything, because education plays a big role. Education and jobs, and also us as black women, it plays a big role. We need to really pay attention to stuff like this. And it also impacts with Juneteenth, because okay, yeah, we got what we wanted, but you see how long it took for us to get what we've been wanting and praying and manifesting for, as well as our ancestors, relatives, things like that. So I want y'all to take, look at Project 25. If you got TikTok, I know there's a lot of people on there that's talking about it, because that's how it drew my attention. When people on TikTok really bring out the blueprint, have the blue screen and everything, the pictures and everything. And also why being on the news, but when you hear it from your own people and you get a better understanding, it's like, okay, we need to take this serious. As well as Juneteenth, a lot of people did not take us serious. And it's so crazy how a certain situation led the government and people beyond the government and stuff to finally be like, okay, let's give them Juneteenth. Oh, and let's make it a federal holiday too. Let's get them get paid so they can have their money, because they say, oh, black people won't work on a holiday, especially for 4th of July stuff, time and a half and stuff. Yeah, So what? That's for y'all. But us, Juneteenth, we should have been honored because it's been so much trials and tribulations and everything that gone and happened. That's history that has been made, and it doesn't get the type of recognition that it deserves, and it needs to. And us black people, I'm glad that we're making it making it known and well deserved, and giving all the flowers and stuff it need, because it was a long time coming and it should have been happening. But you know, it's okay though, because we're doing everything in our power and making sure that, you know, our kids, and kids, so on, know this, and it's going to most definitely know their history. Because y'all know, it's so funny, before I go deep into like the next information, it's so funny that even me being a college student, I'll never forget, in one of my classes as a social work student, we had debate on, like, when it comes to history, is it our parents' fault or the teacher's fault? And people be like, it's the teacher's fault. But if we look at it, it's both of their faults if they're not teaching you. Because before you go to school, your parents or guardian teach you before, as they would say, another stranger would teach you what they're supposed to. So it was, you know, both parties were wrong. And it's also, too, it falls on us, too, because if we really, really want to know, you know, as you get old, like I said, as you get older and you want to look deep into stuff, you can really, you have access to the internet right there. Everything is in our hands, you know. So, and then I was the one, like, I mean, it's all our fault, because, like, if I want to know something, I should be able to be like, hey, Google, or hey, Alexa, or whatever, rather than, you know, at times going to your parents or going to a professor, you know. So there's a lot of resources here, and I know a lot of people like to hear from word of mouth, but sometimes you really gotta sit back and read. Also, go to the books. I believe the books sometimes more than I believe online, you know, because sometimes at times online is biased, but the books, I feel like facts is facts and black and white. But, you know, it's a sticky situation, but it's like, you know, I'm just say this.
I don't know, but I found these results on search.
When you want something, go for it. When you really want to do it, go for it. You really want to know what's going on? Do what you gotta do. Rather than sit there and wait for somebody to give it to you. You know, things cannot be handed to you, as well as answers, prayers, and things, so on and so on. And so on and so on. Sorry, y'all, because, like, I don't know why. Was that Alexa? No, Google. One of them came on, y'all, and I didn't even know the mic was on. So, oh well. But what are the key historical events that lead up to Juneteenth, and how do they influence the discussions about racial equality and justice? Well, the key historical events that leads up to Juneteenth, including the signing of the Equal Rights by President Abraham Lincoln on January 1st, 1863, and the eventually ending of the, oh my gosh, is the mic ready? All right, y'all, the mic ready fault. Let's see. Okay, by President Abraham Lincoln on January 1st, 1863, and the eventful end of the Congress force in April 1865. Despite these milestones, and many enslaved people in Texas remain unaware of their freedom until Union General Gordon Grange announced on June 19th, 1865, that, you know, freedom is about to happen. These events underscore on the long and ongoing struggles for racism, equality, influencing modern discussions by highlighting the impacts of enforcement of laws and the continuing fight against systematic racism. For instance, with that being said, the celebration of Juneteenth has become an important day of celebrating and remembrance for African Americans, honoring the legacies of those who fought for freedom. Like I mentioned, this is something that needs to be noticed. This is something that should have been brought. It should have been in history. Should have been in classrooms many years ago. It should have been very deep into detail. It should have been very, you know, topic of discussion. It should have been a part of Black History Month. Because as I was growing up, through elementary, through high school, I really didn't hear of Juneteenth up until I graduated high school. And it's so crazy because it's like, this is very important. Like I mentioned, the celebration of Juneteenth has become an important day of celebrating and remembrance of for African Americans. we should be able to honor them because they fought a legacy for them to fight for their freedom. It was so hard back then, and also what also helped me, the episode from Blackish, they had an episode honoring Juneteenth. And you see how, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people be like, oh, I don't know certain things because my parents didn't teach me. Parents or teachers or guardian, whoever took care of them, didn't teach me, or the teacher or professor didn't teach me. That's one of the prime examples that your family can teach you further things that your school is not teaching you, or what other extracurriculum classes or whatever is not teaching you. And it's okay to do so. I remember that video like it was yesterday when they finally made Juneteenth a federal holiday. I remember I had posted, and then I had went back to watch the episode, and I was like, see, this right here, us as an urban community, we need to do that. We need to ensure that into our kids, kids down the line, like little baby did. But we need to ensure things like this because this is very important. This is history. This is history that not just our kids need to know, but we need to know as well, because I know it's probably a few adults out there that don't know a lot of details about Juneteenth. Yes, it's good to know it, but it's good to know it like the back of your hand. Like I said, like how we know about all the popular civil rights activators, leaders, things like that. We should know historical events like that in the back of our hand as well, especially when it comes to Juneteenth, because this impacts with ancestors, so on and so on, that really fought for their freedom. Just, they really fought for their freedom, for us to have this day, for us to get paid for this day as well. So we really got to dive into things like this. So y'all, here is the big blower that I've been really waiting to give it to y'all on why now Juneteenth is such a federal holiday. When did Juneteenth become a federal holiday, and what were the policies and social factors that contribute to this decision? Well, Juneteenth became a federal holiday on June 17th, 2021. 3 years ago, Juneteenth had became a federal holiday when President Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law. The decision was influenced by the growing nation awareness of racism and injustice by the Black Lives Matter movement and the widespread protests, following the murder of George Floyd in 2020. These social moments highlighted the needs for greater recognition of African American history and the ongoing struggles for racial injustice. Now, this is where it gets interesting and why I say I'm gonna wait off to it. I feel as though it should not have took them 3 years to recognize it's a situation that happened 4 years ago to one of our own people in our community, for the government to put into place this law and policy that, since George Floyd had, the incident happened with police brutality, as well as us African Americans during the movement Black Lives Matter, it took them to realize that we've been doing this for years, saying this for years, that something needs to give. And they waited till 3 years ago to finally say, you know what? Let me give y'all Juneteenth. We're glad that we have it, but we should have had this long time ago. And what's really crazy is when the George Floyd situation happened, if you guys don't know, like I mentioned, I'm from Baltimore. If y'all have not heard of Freddie Gray, his situation was somewhat similar to George Floyd's as well. I'm not going to go in so much detail, but I want y'all to remember the name. Freddie Gray. George Floyd. When you think about it, if you do know, y'all know what I'm ready to say. And if you don't know, I'm going to say this. Police brutality is one thing, but let it be, the criminal they say is African American. Oh, it's not as huge. It's huge when it's a white cop on top of a black person. Police brutality. I'll never forget Well, let me start off by the Freddie Gray situation. I'll never forget when that situation happened in my city. I never forget like how it started to how it finished. To seeing, the police that was involved, from seeing the graphics of that video with the body cam and so on and so on, and hearing Freddie Gray say he can't breathe, just as well as George Floyd said he couldn't breathe when they put the knee on his head. He put his knee on his neck. Sorry. Sort of the same thing with Freddie Gray in the paddy wagon. You see how it's so messed up that they do things, that they wait until things go wrong in our community that we've been fighting for, and been like giving y'all the green light, giving y'all flags, hints, whatever, like, hey, look, this is what's going on. This is a red flag, and we need y'all to get this, like, understand, like, this is why we fight for the way we fight the way we do. We say what we say, and we do what we do, and honor our people as we do, because all we have is each other. And when I found out on the news and social media, when Joe Biden, and they had him in the White House, wherever he was at, when he signed this law saying that, Juneteenth is National Independence Day Act into law, and decided, when we were the ones to influence him to make this come true, it's just, it don't feel right to me, because of everything that happened, from the movement, from Black Lives Matter and every other organization that's impacted with African Americans youth, up until the murder of George Floyd. That's what got you to give you the green light. Oh, we're gonna make this Juneteenth. It didn't go away. Still to this day, people don't understand that giving people money after someone dies don't make it better. You gotta think, George Floyd had a daughter. She was very young. It has to remember her father through a situation, crisis, and so on and so on, that have put a major effect onto the world, but mainly onto her community, because of police brutality. Think about it. As well as for Freddie Gray. I'm not sure if he had children or not, but that situation in my city, it went haywire. Black Lives Matter didn't really become big, I believe, up until 2020. When in my city, we had a riot. It became a riot. Like, I remember when the riot even happened. If y'all not familiar with Baltimore City, the riot started at Mondawmin Mall. I'm just telling y'all this. Y'all can do y'all research on it, because I don't want to go too further deep into it, but it's sad. Until this day, it's still sad. Just sitting there talking about it and being able to remember all the news segments, not wanting to go to certain places, can't go to certain places because it's burned down, shot up, X, Y, and Z, because it was so many things that we wanted to say, and we did say, and the community, the mayor, and so on, didn't help us, that a riot begun. And it also impacted with children going to school, going over there, because Mondawmin Mall is over there over west, where I'm from. That's West Baltimore. And just remembering that day, as well as remembering hearing news about George Floyd, it sickened my stomach, because it was like police brutality is involved, and it's also a black man involved that lost his life over something so small that could have been fixed, the proper way. And I understand crime is crime, but it's like, it's so many different ways on how to handle things. But that also impacts with racism. Hello, racism. That impacts with it a lot. And Juneteenth, this episode is very, very important to me, and it's very deep, because, like I mentioned, we don't pay close attention. Sometimes we don't read between the lines on what's going on. We just sometimes, the saying, we react before we give a reaction. So it's like, okay, you can't just react so much off of this if you don't know what's really going on. Before we have the reaction, shit on our face, we need to react to what we're reading and what we're looking at before we can do what we got to do. And it's so crazy when I did my research, and it said the main reason also that impacted for Juneteenth to become a federal holiday through Biden and them eyes is because this decision was influenced by the growing national awareness of racial injustice that was informed by the Black Lives Matter movement and the widespread protesting the following incident that dealt with George Floyd in 2020. I want y'all, but I leave y'all with this to say before, like, you know, because I'm almost done. After this, and listen to me, I want y'all to look at Freddie Gray first, and then look at George Floyd. Their age ranges are very different. I'm gonna tell y'all that too. Freddie Gray, I think he was like in his mid-20s. George Floyd, I believe he was in his mid-40s going on 50s, if I'm not mistaken. But I want y'all to look at the dynamics, the settings, the background, every little detail that you can, and compare and contrast both situations. Impacting with racism, police brutality. Okay? It's sad. This is the life we live. But that's why we got to come together as one to make sure that we keep each other accountable, as well as being there for each other as well, because we all we have. Even though we get on each other's nerves and we don't agree to everything that, you know, that's going on, instead of us, you know, hurting each other, we need to empower each other. As well as black women and black men, we need to empower each other as a whole and be there for each other. You have to understand, we give each other the blues. We don't like each other at times, but it's like, hey, we got generations ahead. You know, we got generations that's coming up ahead that we need to be role models for and show positive insight as well as positive light on. So keep that in mind as well. So this is where it gets a little bit interesting. You know, it honors the holiday as well as, you know, giving props and giving their condolences as well. Where are the most significant Juneteenth celebrations held, and how do different regions in the United States incorporate with this day? So how do they honor this day? The most significant Juneteenth celebrations are held in the cities like Houston, Galveston, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, and New York. In Galveston, Texas, the birthplace of Juneteenth, celebrations includes parades, historical performances, and cultural festivals. Different regions in the United States celebrate the day with a various of activities such as community gatherings, educational events, musical performances, and food, reflecting local culture influences and cultural histories. For example, in the District of Columbia, Juneteenth is honored with a freedom walk, a parade, a festival, and a reading of the Declaration of Independence. So that being said, it's amazing that place, like, you know, a lot of cities are paying homage to this day and giving and also educating the people that are there, and also giving the culture, displaying our culture as well. Juneteenth, I feel as though, is very important, and it's a must. I would love to go to a Juneteenth parade, and hopefully next year and years to come. For me, when it comes to parades, I need to get myself together. Mentally and physically prepare myself, because like I said, at times, it's a little, you got to keep your head on a swivel everywhere you go. But sometimes you really have to keep your head 10 times on the swivel, because you don't know what happens. Like I mentioned with the story that happened not too long ago this week, that I forgot what city had honored Juneteenth with the artist Lloyd had went to, that they got the shooting up there. You know, so it's like, oh my gosh, I'm from Baltimore. I don't even know if they're doing anything for Juneteenth, because I know Pride just passed, so, you know, they probably wrapping up for that. And if they don't have something for Juneteenth, that's okay. You know, if I don't go out in the parades, long as if I'm home, you know, not doing much, I will, you know, sit there, educate myself, you know, watch the videos on Juneteenth, go back to the Blackish episode and stuff, things like that. You know, sometimes if you cannot be able to enjoy the festivals, the good food, and learn about the education through the historical people or activists in the community, teach yourself. Long as you understand what you're doing and make sure that, you know, you learn a lot after, you know, you read on what's going on, and also got a sense of why is this important and why did our ancestors and ancestors before that, and etc., fought the way they did for reasons like this to come. Okay. So, y'all, this is long, and then it's a mouthful, because this is serious. I feel as though this is serious, real serious. And lastly, why is it important to educate younger generation about Juneteenth, and how can schools and communities incorporate this history into their crucial and cultural activities? Like I mentioned, this needs to be in textbooks. This needs to be highlighted. Need posters, everything, to educate the younger generation about Juneteenth, because it's important to foster understanding of African American history. This legacy, the legends of slavery, that a legacy that has holded on and also impacted us, such as with Black Lives Matter movements and things like that, as well as the ongoing struggle for racial equality and justice. Schools and communities can incorporate the history by integrating Juneteenth into history lessons, ongoing community activities, and inviting speakers to share personal and historical preferences that impacts with Juneteenth, such as, like, with Dr. Martin Luther King. Some of his children and grandchildren are still alive. I believe they go to certain schools or they go to their communities and they reflect on Dr. Martin Luther King and their mom, Coretta Scott King. So having people, like older people, stuff like that, that knows the history, or goes to a went to a HBCU or goes to a HBCU now, have people, get people involved, get them involved into activities that impact, a learning activity. It could also be fun, but also making sure that they understand why this is important and why they need to know this, because it is important. The legends of slavery and why slavery is so important, why people say things that they say, some things we should not be taking things as a joke. Basically, don't take things for granted, especially be blessed that you are living in the life that you are now, because if we was living back then, I think it would be a mess. A riot. I'm just saying riot. It would be a riot. It would be very, 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 very sad, tragic, all those things. All the not so good words. It'd just be really crazy. So also, as well as getting the children to, understand and know all about Juneteenth, engaging students in projects and activities, exploring Juneteenth cultures, significantly helping them build a deeper appreciation, like I mentioned, and awareness of its importance on African American society. In this way, Juneteenth can be remembered as an important milestone in the struggles for freedom and equality in the United States. Like I mentioned, we have to be blessed, and we have to be very blessed and highly favored on our freedom that we have, because, like I mentioned, our ancestors and so on didn't have what we have. They did a lot. They paved the way for us to be where we're at now, and we have to honor them and give them the flow, even though it took so long for the government, policies and things like that to even get into action for these laws and stuff like that, for us to even celebrate Juneteenth. Is crazy, but it's like, hey, it still need to be said. Even other topics as well that impacts with us African Americans in our community. We must teach our children, because they're the future. They're coming up. We must give them as much knowledge as they can, because slowly but surely, many cities that some of these children are living in, they don't even want them to know nothing about African American history. They want them to know everything else, in the war and stuff like that, but they don't want them to know about African American history. You know why? Because they don't care. They don't care. And it's our duty as the African American community to teach our African American children about where they came from, who they are, why they are the way they are, and why it's important for us to come together and do what we have to do as one. Okay? So to summarize everything, Juneteenth is celebrated on June 19th. It marks the 18th. It marks the day in 1865 when the Union General Gordon Range arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced the ending of slavery 2.5 years after the Slavery Act. This day marks the official end of slavery in the United States and is a time for celebrating African American freedom and culture. Now, a federal holiday, Juneteenth serves as a reminder of the continuing pursuit of racial equality and justice. Celebrations typically include cultural events, educational activities, and community gatherings. Juneteenth is an important reminder of the progress we shall have to make towards achieving true freedom and equality for all. As always, I hope you guys have learned a thing or two, hopefully a lot of things from today's episode. First and foremost, happy Juneteenth to all of us. This day wouldn't be possible if we didn't come together as a community and fight for what we believe in, as well as the generation of for us, such as parents, guardians, aunties, grandfathers, cousins, grandmamas, all that. If they didn't fight for what they believe in and did all the protests and the things like that they had to do, we wouldn't be able to celebrate this. So happy Juneteenth to us. I wish y'all have a please be safe out here. Be careful, educate yourself, have fun, and just enjoy your freedom, as well as, enjoying the culture, learning more about your history, and hopefully bringing the kiddos with you too so they can learn as well. As always, I wish you guys nothing but an amazing day. I hope you all will feel amazing, do amazing things this week to come. And the weekend that we have left, the couple days we have left in the week. And as always, if my podcast don't help a lot of people long as it helps somebody, because I'm just the one that reports nothing but the facts. I'm part of the voice of the community. I don't want to be the voice of the community. I want to be one of the people that's involved. So, like I mentioned, I hope y'all have an amazing day. I hope y'all enjoy yourself. Please be careful out here because it's hot. Oh, Lord, it's hot. I want y'all to stay hydrated and things like that. Go out, have a good time. But I also want y'all to know the facts on Juneteenth and, ask questions, do some research as well. Also, don't forget to look up Freddie Gray and also George Floyd. Compare, contrast their situations as well. And as always, I wish you guys nothing but an amazing, safe, and blessed day. You guys will hear from me next Wednesday. I love you all. Please stay safe and be safe. Bye.